The King's Choice. You Only See My Beauty, but You Don't Know My Story. A memoir by Stacey Amawoye, as told to Teresa Laryea. Chapter 8. Family Frictions and Forgiveness. When Joseph's brothers saw him coming, they recognized him in the distance. As he approached, they made plans to kill him. "Here comes the dreamer," they said. Genesis 37:18. I made a fortune from all my hard work in Japan, and it was now time for me to use the money judiciously. I prioritized my spending and decided to start out by sowing back into the lives of all those who had supported me up until then. Bearing gifts, I went around thanking all my supporters by giving them double what they had invested in me. I did not forget the old woman who used to encourage me when I was a little girl. I gave her an unusually large amount of money because I was so appreciative of what she had done for me when no one else cared. By this time, God had done a work in my heart, and I was willing to forgive those who had hurt me. I went to thank them also. After I reasoned that had it not been for the pain they had caused me, I would not have made it this far. It is not easy to come to that place of forgiveness, but when you look at the broader picture, you realize that those that hurt you drove you closer to God and empowered you to excel. Their rejection enabled you to discover your acceptance and value to God. The further they pushed you down, the harder and higher you climbed. The more they disdained you, the harder you worked. Never give up until you have proven your naysayers wrong and the counsel of God right. By doing so, you might win over to God those who trampled on you before. Do not allow bitterness to eat you up. Release them, release yourself, and move on. Out of bitterness, I once tried to take my life by drinking a whole bottle of kerosene. I thought that I would die and end it all, but death never claimed me because God still had work for me to do. I felt that all my dreams had ended, but it is not over until God says it is over. Don't think that just because you made it to the next level that the haters and naysayers disappear. Remember, new levels bring new devils. Steve Maraboli. After my appreciation tour, I decided to expand my salon and open up a supermarket for my family to run. Can you imagine? Me, of all people, opening a supermarket for my family to run. Yes, I guess I am guilty of having a very big heart. So with my generous spirit, I launched my supermarket business and hired my family members to run it. The girl who started with the little table selling Milo had certainly come a long way. So I asked an uncle and his wife to run the store. After a year, I realized that we were not breaking even, yet we were always running out of products. I suspected that they were not giving me accurate accounts, so I decided to confront them. They managed to reason their way out of it by giving me all kinds of excuses, which I bought hook, line, and sinker. They even convinced me to hide the fact that I was the true owner of the business and to allow them to be the face of the business to protect me from the bad guys. Once more, I restocked the shop and, as I was advised, left it entirely in their care. In less than 6 months, the shop went downhill once again, and I felt that it had become a money pit. I regretted ever going into business with a family member. By then, they had reverted back to the name-calling, which I had suffered from as a child. I was told that I was the daughter of a nobody who had no right to teach them how to run their store, that I thought that just because I had gone to Japan, I could come back and become a boss over them. And still being the youngest in the family, they managed to rip me off and ran me out of my own establishment. I thought that investing in my family would finally buy me their acceptance. I did not understand that this is a challenge that most people who have been rejected face. They unconsciously try to buy their family's acceptance by allowing them to use them to no end. Because they are so thirsty for love and acceptance, they end up bending over backwards to please the very people who are trying to kill them. I was still innocent, so I wondered what I had done wrong to deserve such a dreadful treatment. So with heaviness of heart and kicking myself for putting myself in a position to be betrayed by family once again, I washed my hands entirely off the store and walked away. With that done, I decided to focus my attention on expanding my salon so that I could recruit more people to train. I had the building reconstructed, extended, and refurbished until it had doubled in capacity and size. I also had a vision of building a school beside the salon. I told my great-grandmother about my vision, which she believed was a good one. So she gave me one piece of her land after she had gone to see the chief of the town, along with an uncle, my brother, and a few trusted friends of hers as witnesses. I finally became the owner of the land, broke ground, and started to build. Sadly, a few months afterwards, my great-grandmother passed away. This was a massive blow to me. Granted, over the years we had our ups and downs, but she was the most consistent figure in my life and had been my pillar throughout my life. Now, with her gone, I felt that I was really on my own. Her demise caused a rift in the family, as family members fought over her possessions. During this time of mourning, I was told that the land on which I was building the school had been rented to another person, though the building at this time had reached its lintel level. According to the messenger, my building had been razed down and rebuilt as a rental property. And not only that, the person who had rented the land had vowed to have me killed if I ever set foot on the land. The shock of it all was almost too much for me to bear. What was I, a young single woman, to do? I heeded the warning and did not go near the land for years. Several years later, while I was on an errand, I happened to pass by the site and saw that a house had been put up for rent and had tenants living in it. I decided to approach one of the tenants and ask them whether they knew who owned the property. To my utmost surprise, the landlords were no other than my own relatives who my great-grandmother had requested to act as witnesses on the day that I had bought the land. Unknown to me, they had gone behind my back and had connived with an elder who was also present during the sale to take the property away from me. My jaw dropped. I was shocked and was utterly speechless. Was there no depth to which these people would sink? And all I wanted to do was to be a blessing to them. My sorrow knew no bounds. I thought to myself how sad my great-grandmother would be if she could see what the people she had trusted had done. To seek greatness is the only righteous vengeance. Chris Jami.